And we're back. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm your host, BKP, and I'm joined this hour, a good friend of mine, Ralph Barker. He's been on before with me, and we're going to talk a little bit. He's brought several things he wants to talk about this morning with him, couple books, couple comments he wants to make. So, Ralph, welcome to the show. It's good to have you back.
Well, good to be back.
You remember when they were passing, Ralph brought something in. I want to start with this because it's fresh, because I think it's humorous in a way. You remember when they were passing the Obamacare?
Yeah.
And Alan Grayson, remember folks down at Alan Grayson in Florida and his famous on the floor speech, the Republicans' health care plan, and he revealed the card was it die soon?
Yeah.
Remember? That was the Republicans' health care plan. Ralph, what did you bring in from the Wall Street Journal?
Well, this is yesterday's Wall Street Journal, and just want all you white males to know, you better get your things in order because you're going to die soon. The life
Alan Grayson told us that's a Republican health care plan.
That's right. The life expectancy has dropped from 78.9 years to 78.8 years. So get things ready. You're going quicker.
Well, wait a minute. I have white privilege.
That's right. You get to go first.
Ralph,
that was good last night, by the way. That was a very good evening.
Oh, thank you.
And I noticed you were talking about the cake, and I know you were out there measuring the thing. You ate the whole thing. So I know how good that cake was. It didn't get a piece, but it was really, really big.
That's beautiful, wasn't it?
It was.
I didn't get a chance to ask them. It was a big American flag.
It was.
You brought in this book. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about this book.
Well, this came up last night. It's the reason I brought this into debate with the 9th District congressional candidates. It's the Federalist Papers, which many of us may have read in school. We've heard of. These were the writings of our founding fathers prior to the Constitutional Convention or during that time. And this is one that's done in modern English. If you read the old version, it's almost like reading the original King James Bible. You can't read it.
So is that the NIV?
No scripture. I don't think it could be quoting scripture. It's more the NIV of the Federalist Papers here. It's easy to read. It's by Merriam-Webster. So this is something that's so important to understand what they were thinking about original intent. That came up a lot last night.
Original intent.
What does that mean? You know, we've been taught or we've been brainwashed into thinking that the Constitution is a living, breathing document, meaning that you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean. 1907, Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes said the Constitution is whatever the judges say it is. Now, that's not true, but that's what happens in practice. How do they find this area of privacy in there so they could have abortions? You read anything in the Constitution about abortion or about privacy?
One candidate brought that up. I
Yeah.
don't know if you were there last night when one candidate brought that up. He said abortion's not in the Constitution.
Of course not. There's
So-
no privacy in there.
So, 9th District, you were there last night. You're very interested, and you do pay attention to local elections. You pay attention to local, national, and you get involved and you go to debates and meetings. Give me a general thought of what you see in the 9th District right now, and maybe why Congressman Collins has 4 challengers. What do you think?
Well, I think there's probably multiple reasons. One is what's going on in the country, tired of the same old, getting the promises, not doing it, telling us one thing, doing another, and very few of us check up on them. We don't know. We get the emails from them telling about the great things they're doing, but we don't know about the bad things they're doing, the good things they should be doing that they're not doing, on and on and on. Plus, I've mentioned before, I felt like when Congressman Collins, this is particular to him, not to maybe other districts, although the same thing's going on in different districts, of having multiple challengers so you can dilute the vote and then get one of the challengers to coalesce around each other and then win the election. I mean, that's kind of like the goal. I think that has a name, the Sullivan Plan or something like that. I've heard that, whether that's the right one or not. But, so anyway, I felt that he ran his first campaign when he first got elected in a dishonest manner. The way he went after Martha Zoller and accused her of being pro-choice when she wasn't. And he knew that because Georgia Right to Life had vetted both of them as being pro-life candidates. And so when I met him for the first time, I challenged him and told him I thought that was dishonest, but he didn't seem to respond much to that. So I've had a hard time getting past that. If you lied about that, What else did he lie about?
Well, he gets very passionate when people question his pro-life credentials.
I don't challenge that.
No, I didn't say you did, but well, he has said that and I think you can Google it. He says that if anybody ever challenges him on his stance of pro-life, but is that a top issue for you? Or is that right at the top?
Well, it's one of the top, mainly because I work at a pregnancy center, pro-life Christian pregnancy center. So obviously that's high on my list of things. From a Christian standpoint, and being an ordained minister, and hopefully knowing a little bit about Scripture, if you accept the fact, and even the pro-choicers do now, they don't argue whether that's a life in there. They don't use that argument anymore. They use viability or health of the mother or something like that. So if you give in or give it to the idea that is a life inside the womb, then you got to say, under what scriptural principles can you murder someone? I mean, what's the only times in Scripture you're allowed to murder someone? That would be it's not murder really. It's a legitimate, lawful taking of life, which would be the death penalty, self-defense, godly war. Other than that, there's no justification for killing somebody. That's very simplistic, but I believe that's the scriptural approach to that.
Let me just bring this up because we're going into a subject that, it wasn't something we set up. Ralph and I just decided to go with the direction of the day, and I knew he was at the debate last night and he pays attention to the election process. But Ralph, this is from the Washington Free Beacon, and this is from April 19th. I had this here. I read this article this morning. Planned Parenthood organ sales are pure profit. Congressional panel, this is from a congressional panel, folks, says abortionists incur no cost for organ harvesting. Planned Parenthood abortion clinics profit from the sale of abortion baby organs, according to new documents released by Congressional Committee investigating organizations' practices. Now, the U.S., and let me say this for a reason, the U.S. House Select Panel on Infant Lives released a review of its finding after a month-long review of internal documents obtained by the nation's top abortionists, so on and so forth. Now, we now have a congressional committee. Don't get me worked up. It just gets me irritated that we have to find a committee. Okay, so we've exhausted everything with this Planned Parenthood. We've put the committee together. We're good Baptists.
That's what I was going to say. This is
good
very,
Baptists.
For us Baptists.
Yeah,
it's
good
really
Baptists.
to understand.
We assembled a committee.
That's right.
Okay, so we've went through that. We've looked into it, and we have the I'm going to say evidence that it's pure profit, and they are making profit off of this.
Yeah.
Ralph, could they have not just done something and froze any and all federal money going to Planned Parenthood until we figured out what they were doing?
Of course they could, but would they? No.
Why didn't we? The Republicans are in charge. I know you're looking at me like, why you're asking me? But I get a blank. Why didn't we?
There's got to be money passing. There's got to be somebody making something off this. It's a moral thing. If we're going back, if we're killing babies, and making money off their deaths in that sense of selling their parts, it seems to me it's a clear-cut moral choice. So you're asking why the Republicans typically say they're Christians, that they believe the Bible, they wave the flag, but they don't seem to do something as simple and as obvious as that. And one other thing I want to say real quick, just in context of the whole abortion thing. That's a very tough subject, and something that really struck me that I had no idea. James Dobson, you know who he is.
Yes.
He's got a good reputation, great materials. I read one of his books on pregnancy and abortion, pro-life. He says that 44% of women will have an abortion at some time in their life. That's almost half. I worked a women's retreat as a pastor one time, and woman after woman after woman got up and confessed to having an abortion. I was shocked. I had no idea. Nobody knew. Their husband didn't know. Nobody knew, but they're abortionists. So I understand the pain of that and the guilt of that to a lot of women. And it's a forgivable sin. That's got to be clear. It's like any other sin. It's forgivable. But there is help and hope, like at our Pregnancy Center for Post-Abortion Syndrome and such as that. That's just an important thing to know because people hurt over that and they can't tell anybody or they're ashamed to tell anybody. And, we want to help them. So, but back to your question there, that'd be a good question to ask some of these Republican.
Well, I hear a lot about women's health and Planned Parenthood providing services and providing services in low-income communities in inner city and things.
That's true.
So first of all, I for one do not want to do anything to prevent women from getting health care, obviously, and we don't.
No,
and
of course not.
In no way would we ever want to do anything to prevent that. But there's a time every once in a while that you put a pause. I mean, let me say something, folks. I've been in these city council meetings where they'll put a moratorium on a sign permit. 90 days. We're stopping everything for 90 days until we can figure out. I'm not going to say no bad words. He's a pastor. Okay? No bad words. I caught myself, right?
There you go, good.
We put a moratorium because we will figure out what size the sign is. We put a moratorium on, facilities and zoning and this and that. Congress could put a 100% funding moratorium on Planned Parenthood until they could filter and sift through what was going on, and at least till some of these committees completed investigations saying, yes, it's pure profit. So I'm very confused. There's argument, and it is argument because I've been on both sides of the coin. I've heard Roger Fitzpatrick, Mike Scupine, Bernie Fontaine, and Dr. Paul Brown say that omnibus bill funded Planned Parenthood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if, by doing that, it funds abortions. And then I've heard Congressman Doug Collins saying that's not true. They could not. It's grants. I don't want.
Well, how do they know what they're doing with the money? If they give Planned Parenthood the money, they don't divide it and say this is for pregnancy tests and this is for ultrasounds and this is for abortions. I don't think they do it that way. They just say here's a $500 million.
No, they give him a grant to keep the lights on so the doctor can see why he's providing the abortion.
Well,
that's the trick. So
well, it may be.
But the reason, folks, and I didn't want to get into that, and I don't, I don't take me wrong. It's not that I'm concerned about talking about a touchy subject I have in the past, but it is something that is going on in the 9th District and the omnibus bill. Candidates all over the United States are answering for voting for the omnibus bill. They're answering for voting for Speaker John Boehner. They're answering for these things now, and they say that Planned Parenthood was funded along with Syrian refugee resettlement and so many other things.
Isn't the bigger question of why our congressman gave Obama just about everything he wanted for his entire term?
That's what Nancy Pelosi said. The Republicans, let's not blame it on Doug Collins. Let's just say Doug Collins was at the party and we'll call it Republican.
All right.
So the Republican Party, boy, they've been partying, haven't they?
Yes, they
have. The
have.
Republican Party gave Barack Obama his last year. Just skate right through. No challenges. I don't have to challenge the debt ceiling. I don't have to challenge any continuing resolutions. I don't have to challenge anything. All the money's there. There's no fight. You guys have cleared the way, Republican Party, for me to set in direction the last year, get these things off my plate, my to-do list, clean it up, and I don't have to worry. Thank you, Paul Ryan. Thank you guys for doing. Right? Is that?
That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I go with that.
So we talk about some presidential politics when we come back.
Yeah, we're leaving.
Well, we're going to take a little break. We're not going nowhere. We're going to take a little break. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's only live online morning show. Can't get any better when Nancy Pelosi thanks you. And she did. She gave the Republicans a big thank you, didn't she?
Nancy, yeah.
Nancy said, way to go, Republican. Okay, we'll be back after these messages. Lottie, take us a break.
Save big on service at Schadenkirk. Get a full-service oil change for only $29.99. That's right. Get an oil and filter change, tire rotation, brake check, AC check, and multi-point inspection, all for just $29.99.
Give us a shot at Schadenkirk.
Get the $29.99 oil change special at Schadenkirk Ford or any of our convenient locations in the heart of Georgia.
As Bentley says, give us a shot at Schadenkirk.
Online at SchadenkirkAtlanta.com.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
El Rey and Ella J.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine.
El Rey.
El Rey and Ella J.
Only Pizza Hut delivers 2 medium pizzas any way you want for just $6.99 each. Get any quality toppings, any crust, and any 2 freshly made medium pizzas. Get your favorite high-quality specialties like meat lovers or backyard barbecue chicken, just $6.99 each. Only at Pizza Hut.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
New Schadenkirk Ford in Jasper. Highway 515 South, Jasper. SchadenkirkFordJasper.com.
In 2015, our Gilmer County Probate Court heard over 1,300 criminal cases, 250 estate and guardianship matters, and probated or administered 110 plus wills. Those are very serious issues. And experience matters. You know, we talked about the fact that every county with more than 96,000 people has a licensed attorney as their probate judge. The state requires it. They don't hear different cases. They don't hear different matters. And I don't believe that the due process you receive when you go to the probate court should be based off the county you live in. You want to have a judge who's been there, who's been on the other side of the bench, who's argued that, who knows it, and who can help you. Because compassion isn't always just about being able to listen, but it's being able to do something when you do listen. Experience matters, and I will use my experience in my private practice, in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and in 2 judges' chambers for the people of Gilmer County.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Better days ahead. Truck Month is back at your new Days Chevrolet in Jasper with savings up to $8,000 off MSRP. Right now, get a roomy new Chevy Equinox for just $23,200, or get Days max discount on a new Silverado Crew Cab, just $31,900, plus instant easy credit with Days Fast Track Credit Center. But these Truck Month savings won't last long. Get to Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where Chevy cars and trucks cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
And we're back, BKP here. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I'm here, joined this morning with Ralph Barker. Ralph, when we left, I asked you, you want to talk about some presidential politics.
Yeah.
You currently still support Ted Cruz?
Yeah, I mean, I believe he's the best man for the job. A constitutionalist, which everybody last night was a constitutionalist, very strong. I mean, they said they were, and I think that's very important. If we were to take a poll, I'm wondering, and let's take the city of Ellijay, East Ellijay, I bet you there's not 20 people that have read the Constitution in the last 5 years. What do you think?
I can agree with that.
So
I would agree with that.
So we know people don't know what's in the Constitution, and that's, you know, you can get these little pocket-sized ones, take it with you, read it at lunch, read it once a month, start to learn what it means, what the authorities are. So when you go to your congressman or senator, say, how are you doing this when you're in direct violation of the Constitution? Years ago, 1980s, I remember the Senate, now you tell me what's wrong with this, the Senate passed a bill to raise the gas tax. What's wrong with that?
Go ahead.
All bills of revenue shall originate in the House.
Okay, all right.
Direct violation. I wrote my congressman.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
of course, do you think they changed their course because I wrote a letter and told them they're in violation of the Constitution? Of course not. But that happens. Larry McDonald, I knew Larry McDonald fairly well. In fact, I was going to date his wife, Kathy, after he died. We were good friends, but that's another story. But Larry...
Yeah, that should be enough.
we'll come back and tell that story.
Yeah.
Larry, I was in his office one day, and I said, let me ask you a question. What percentage of what Congress does is unconstitutional? He didn't blink an eye. He said 90%. 90%. And those that know Larry McDonald know who he was. He was about as strict a constitutionalist as you'd ever meet. So that was, 30 years ago. And today it's probably up to 95%, 98%, but nobody calls them to account. The courts don't call them to account. The Congress doesn't stop the court. They have the authority to override the Supreme Court, but they don't do that either.
So, okay, what do you think about the current climate? I mean, Ted Cruz is not going to make the 1237. He's not going to make the 1237. Do you think, now a poll said that in New York, an exit poll, I haven't seen it nationally, but I do believe it may be as high. Exit poll of Republicans in New York said 70% said the candidate with the most delegates should be the nominee. What do you think about Trump saying the system's rigged? What do you think about these state parties? And what do you think about if he's short 100 votes?
It depends, I guess it goes back to what we're talking about. It depends on what the rules are. And if you abide by the rules, or you're going to change the rules. Isn't it correct? I'm not sure on this. Isn't it correct that at each convention they write rules particular to that convention?
Yes.
So that can change. I'll tell you what I said, and I've said this before, and we disagree on that. I don't see any way the Republicans can come out of this, because there's going to be one big faction, whether it's Cruz people or Trump people, that are going to stay home. I just don't see any way that it can work out. I hope I'm wrong, but I think Hillary's going to be president because of that.
Well, I disagree with you.
Okay, I know you do. I know you do.
The American people, if I'm very upset. I don't dislike Ted Cruz. I know what I know some of the criticism I get.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Ted Cruz. I dislike what's happening.
Yeah.
And people can come back and say, "Oh, but you're okay when Donald said this and that." No. I don't like a lot of it on either side. But it's like I said before we started our segment. I don't see how Cruz is going to stand on the stage in Cleveland and give a rave endorsement to the nominee. And
I don't either. They all pledged that, but all of them pretty much said they're going to break their pledge. So what's that worth?
So if Cruz loves this country and knows the destruction in the last, we're just going to go 8 years back. We know the destruction is multiple years. But just the destruction in the last 8 years and the future destruction, could you really see Ted Cruz, how does it say, I love this country so much that I will do everything to make sure Hillary Clinton is president? And my opinion is Donald Trump should, if Ted Cruz gets the nomination, which he should not. That's my opinion.
He can't do it mathematically.
Right. So if Ted Cruz were to come out of Cleveland with the nomination, Trump and everybody needs to wave that flag and go Ted Cruz.
Yeah, they should. And they said they would, but they're apparently all lying because they already said they wouldn't do that. You know what? I mean, this is center. I mean, what I'm beginning to think the whole thing is to get Kasich nominated. That's why he's staying in, because then they'll go to the convention, they'll write the rules, and Kasich will be because he can beat Hillary according to the polls. And they don't hate him like they hate Ted Cruz.
He can't beat Hillary. Kasich can't beat Hillary.
I thought the polls said he could. I could be wrong.
No, the polls are wrong.
The polls are wrong. Okay.
I mean, it's real simple. I don't want you to go away upset, but if the polls say he could beat Hillary, they're wrong. And if you say he could beat Hillary, you're wrong.
Well,
don't get upset, but that's just my opinion.
That's simple enough.
Huh?
That's simple enough.
Kasich can't beat Hillary. The media wants you to believe Kasich can beat Hillary. The media always wants a very moderate Republican, and Kasich's a moderate Republican candidate. So there's no clear distinction between the two. And so, no, John Kasich cannot beat Hillary. John Kasich will be no different than the fight. Because let me tell you what people are not going to do this time. I'm going to tell you what people are not going to do.
They're not going to vote.
They're not going to pretend. The pretending's over. And let me tell you what I mean by that. You're talking about Cruz people staying home? You're talking about Trump people staying home? Friend, people are tired of pretending. John McCain was nominated, and people like myself pretended this was the guy. Pretended for months that he was a conservative. Mm-hmm. Pretended that Mac is back, the Maverick. We pretended like this is the guy that should be president. Knowing good and well in my heart, I'll speak for myself, that this was not the guy that should have been nominated. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fast forward. Mitt Romney.
Not the guy that should have been nominated.
But we pretended.
Yeah.
Right?
That's all we had. I mean,
But we did. We came
You
out
had
and
to.
we pretended to people. If we seen somebody, man, you got to take Mitt Romney. Right? Not going to happen this time. If John Kasich is the nominee, Cruz supporters, Trump supporters, American people, period, are not going to pretend that Kasich is the guy.
so what are they going to do? They're going to stay home.
Well, that's my point. Kasich can't be Hillary.
Okay.
Won't be Hillary.
Same thing I'm really saying. That one group is going to stay home, and they're big groups this time. They're not little groups. So whoever gets disenchanted and stays home is going to throw the election. That's what I'm saying. Whether the polls say somebody can win or they can't win, like you say, they may be wrong. In fact, they're wrong often in elections. And they're slanted. And you know how they ask the questions. Like, if you had to vote for Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler, who would you choose? Well, Donald Trump's winning. I mean, you know how they ask the questions, and they know when to call certain people at certain times to know what they're going to get, you know, who they're going to get on the phone. You know, they know all that.
You and I've talked about that. They have that down to knowing
They do.
who's home at what time.
Yep. And so they can ask honest questions and still slant the results because they're calling people they know who are going to answer a certain way. So, yes.
We want to hear, folks, I got to say this. Do you remember years ago? Well, you probably remember years ago.
Yeah. I do remember many years ago.
Well, you remember years ago, a lot of towns had a morning and afternoon paper.
Yes, we
Remember
did.
that?
We did. Atlanta.
Right.
Atlanta
Remember
did.
a morning and afternoon.
Journal-Constitution.
Okay. Now, where I grew up, I'm going to leave this out of the equation, but where I grew up, there was a morning paper and an afternoon paper. Okay? And I was told the morning paper was the Democrat paper.
Yeah.
Remember that? And the afternoon was the Republican paper. And I asked my grandfather one time why the morning paper was Democrat. I was real young and I said, Grandpa, why is the morning paper the Democrat paper and the afternoon paper the Republican paper? He said, because the Republicans, they have to get up and go to work in the morning and they don't have time to read the paper. And they read it in the afternoon. I swear to God, I'll never forget. I was like, okay, Grandpa. But that was the reason, man.
Well, yeah. Well, I could go
But
there.
you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The point being, I'm going to throw this out here. Remember what I always tell you, folks. Unlike Dick Morris, I cannot be fired. Remember, Dick Morris was fired for fire.
Right.
So I could just throw these predictions out. We'll see what happens. If Donald Trump is the nominee, and if Hillary Clinton is the nominee, orange jumpsuit and all,
Yep.
Donald Trump will win head-to-head in the general election in a landslide.
See, I would say the opposite.
Huh?
I would say, I don't think, in the debates, he couldn't handle her.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't know
Ralph.
enough. He doesn't know enough.
What do you mean he doesn't know enough?
Not about the things.
You know, I'm about tired of these people. He doesn't know enough. He doesn't know enough.
Well, he hadn't proved to me he does. I mean, he's good on business, obviously, but when he gets down to foreign policy and things like that, he doesn't have near the experience she does. She'll be able to walk around him, at least give the illusion that she's better qualified. That's my belief. We'll find out when the debates start.
He's got people surrounding him now.
Well, that's good. I mean,
he's got people. They're writing speeches.
Yeah, that's good.
He's writing speech. They're having speeches written for him now. He's starting to have people surround him. Sad to say, it really upsets me to say it this way. He's actually going to use a teleprompter on a couple things.
The other night, remember, he called Ted, not lying Ted, but Senator Ted Cruz.
Yeah, no, he's going to move that direction.
You see the fingerprints of the advisors and handlers starting to get to him, because he's also got the personality type that won't listen to people very easily, because he thinks he's right about everything. He's a D personality.
He knows he's right about everything?
Yeah.
You know what the K stands for in my name?
No.
Know-it-all.
Well, you're the same personality as Trump.
Oh, my God.
No,
you know we're live. Are you putting me out there?
Well, I teach personality styles. That's the reason I said that.
Holy smokes.
Well, that's not a bad thing. It's how you use it. It's how you use it. We'll have to go back and talk about that sometime. That's a whole program.
That's a series.
No, it's true, though.
Are you analyzing me and I don't know it?
Yes.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break. Go to a 2-minute. We're going to take a quick break. Boy, I'm really enjoying this, Ralph. We're going to come back. I got a couple more things about delegates. But But I want to talk about vice president. That's what concerns me. We'll be back after these brief messages on BKP.
Save big on service at Schadenkirk. Get a full service oil change for only $29.99. That's right. Get an oil and filter change, tire rotation, brake check, AC check, and multi-point inspection, all for just $29.99.
Give us a shot at Schadenkirk.
Get the $29.99 oil change special at Schadenkirk Ford or any of our convenient locations in the heart of Georgia.
As Bentley says, give us a shot at Schadenkirk.
Online at SchadenkirkAtlanta.com.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Over Stockton LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Over Stockton LJ next to Walmart.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Only Pizza Hut delivers 2 medium pizzas any way you want for just $6.99 each. Get any quality toppings, any crust, and any 2 freshly made medium pizzas. Get your favorite high-quality specialties like meat lovers or backyard barbecue chicken, just $6.99 each. Only at Pizza Hut.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
All-new Schadenkirk Ford in Jasper. Highway 515 South, Jasper. SchadenkirkFordJasper.com.
In 2015, our Gilmer County Probate Court heard over 1,300 criminal cases, 250 estate and guardianship matters, and probated or administered 110 plus wills. Those are very serious issues, and experience matters. You know, we talked about the fact that every county with more than 96,000 people has a licensed attorney as their probate judge. The state requires it. They don't hear different cases. They don't hear different matters. And I don't believe that the due process you receive when you go to the probate court should be based off the county you live in. You want to have a judge who's been there, who's been on the other side of the bench, who's argued that, who knows it, and who can help you. Because compassion isn't always just about being able to listen, but it's being able to do something when you do listen. Experience matters, and I will use my experience in my private practice, in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and in 2 judges' chambers for the people of Gilmer County.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show, and we're back here with my guest, Ralph Barker. We got about 15 minutes before we close. Now, don't forget, folks, right after this, it's Thursday, so it's Inspirational Moments with Oscar Poole, right there, Lonnie? Don't forget our good friend, Colonel Oscar Poole. Stay tuned for his Inspirational Moments, and then right after that, North Georgia's only live online morning newscast with Kevin Hensley, the Morning Report. Kevin will be in here at 10 o'clock with all of your local North Georgia updates. So, Ralph, we're back with you. I want to ask you a couple quick questions. Harriet Tubman, go.
I'm sorry?
Harriet Tubman, we're putting her on the $20 bill.
Yeah. It bothers me, not because she's a woman, not because she's black. I just think that this is a trend that's going to be, to destroy our history. That's been an ongoing trend.
I'm glad I just threw that out to you and let you say it. Every once in a while, I don't want to say it, I want somebody else to say it. No, seriously.
Well, that's what bothers me, because that's been that rewriting of history for decades now, where our founding fathers are being denigrated, and all they talk about is they were slaveholders or child molesters or something. Nothing about what they did to make this country great.
Well, not just make the country great. If it's a bad period of time, if it's a good period of time, if it's a bad situation in the history of this country, it is just that, it's history.
Right.
And I'm glad I threw that out at you, because this is not a disrespect to Harriet Tubman.
Not at all. Not
okay.
At all.
But to me, because I've said this morning when I opened the show, Harriet Tubman to me is the true first Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. If Black Lives Matter could go here, read the history of Harriet Tubman, and really understand what trying to secure your freedom is, and fight for something, this is Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But this is just a continuation of trying to rewrite our history to get the next generation not to understand who we truly are or where we come from.
And it's political.
Right.
Of course.
Okay. All right. Vice President. What we talk, president, we're not spending, to me, enough time talking about the vice president. What say you?
Are you talking about the current vice president?
No, the one coming up. Stay with the heck with Joe. Joe's over with.
Okay.
Joe's over with. The vice. We're talking about the next president.
Yeah, who do we want to be the next vice president?
Who does Ralph want to be? What do you see?
I hadn't thought a whole lot about it, to be honest. There's people I like I love Dr. Carson. Would be a great. I think he'd be a good diplomat, because he's very soft-spoken. He doesn't get rattled. I think he'd be a good what do you call it? Medical. What do you call it? The medical position. The
Surgeon General.
Surgeon General. Of course, he'd be excellent for that. So I don't really have a lot of ideas about vice president.
That concerns me, and let me tell you why. Because somebody like yourself that pays as much attention as you do, that's what I'm trying to tell people. You need to pay attention to vice president. Folks, the last time we had a convention where they went in and the establishment lost, stay with me, folks, is right here. Ronald Reagan, he was not the establishment. He was against the establishment. The establishment lost. So the establishment said, hey, if we're going to lose, we have to have something. And here's what we have to have. George H. Bush, a globalist, one world government kind of guy. Remember, what was his famous words that he said the first time?
Read my lips?
No. When he said New World Order.
Oh, New World Order, yeah.
Okay, but the establishment lost. Ronald Reagan was not the establishment. He upset the convention. The convention, 4 ballots, if you remember, sir, 4 ballots gave him I think, gave him, or fourth choice, it was not 4 ballots. The fourth choice, they forced basically George H. Bush as his vice president. That's what concerns me, is if Trump gets the nomination, I believe Trump will make the country great again. What concerns me is who they force. I think that's going to be the deal Trump's going to have to make, is take their vice president. That concerns me.
Well,
we need to pay more attention to that vice president.
We have absolutely zero control over it, though. I mean, no matter who I want or who you want, we have no control over vice president.
See, my concern is, and I've said this from day one, and I'm going to tell you something, folks. I have the video to prove it going way back. I'm better than Chuck Todd. I'm better than any of those people on NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox. I'll throw them in the mix. Better than all of them. That would be best.
You are the greatest.
There you go. The one and only. But here's what I've said. I want the White House for I want Ted Cruz in the West Wing for 16 years, not 8. I have always wanted Donald Trump to be the president for 8 years, Ted Cruz to be the vice president for 8 years to keep him constitutionally on the straight and narrow, and then Cruz to be president for the next 8 years. I wish Ronald Reagan would have been what I call a 16-year term. You follow me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Reagan did enough in the 8 years if he just would have had a conservative vice president, and we weren't looking at what state does this bring, what state did this bring in the vice president, who is a moderate, who's the establishment. Throw all that out the window and save the daggone country and get us 16 years. See, I've always wanted Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, no disrespect to the guy being the front runner, Trump, Cruz, then Trump leaves and Cruz takes over, and 16 years. I don't want to turn the country in the right direction. That's what Ronald Reagan did.
Mm-hmm.
He turned it in the right. I want to turn it around, and that's going to take more than one president of 2 terms.
Yeah, that's true.
You with me?
Yeah. What about someone like she won't do it, but like Condoleezza Rice? It would gain a lot of the vote, take it away from Hillary.
I'm not for sure. I actually want a vice president this time that I could clearly see as president. A lot of people don't look at that. There was years ago that the vice president went to do dignitary funerals. That was the joke or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Not me. I want a vice president this time that will be a conservative, just like the president, and be able to carry on as the president.
What was the last presidential team that did that?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
I don't remember. Maybe it's time.
Well,
This
it
country-
is.
Maybe it's time this country
Now,
do that.
if let's see, no, it wouldn't work. Joe Biden is not going to.
I got to move. I want to tell you that I got a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I want to move. When you brought up Ben Carson,
Yeah.
here's what I want Ben Carson. Stay with me, folks. I want to end the Department of Education.
Amen.
But I want Ben Carson named as the head of the Department of Education with his assignment to dismantle it.
Why him though, with his background?
Ben Carson, Dr.
Yeah.
Ben Carson? Oh yeah, I want him to
But why? I
dismantle
mean, he's a doctor, and that's.
I want him to dismantle the Department of Education. Because I think
I don't care who does it as long as they do it.
No, I want Ben Carson to dismantle, because you can't just go in one day and turn the lights off. I know people want to do that. And we can basically, but it has to be dismantled. And I want somebody we can trust to go in and not lose focus and dismantle the Department of Education. Because I've heard a lot of things Dr. Ben Carson has said about our education system.
Oh yeah, well
And he wouldn't dismantle it in a way that would be detrimental. You follow me?
Yes.
And that's what I want. I want somebody to dismantle it that won't be detrimental.
Well, I would say about him, I think he's one of the most honest and pure of all the candidates we had.
Saudi Arabia.
Are they guilty?
Yes.
Or not guilty? I
Are
think
they-
they're
are they guilty?
I would say so. I mean, you can't prove it yet, but with the.
Do you think we should be able to see the 28 pages?
Yes.
You think?
Well, I'm one that too would say if it really would harm national security, no. We don't have to know everything. It depends on what's in there. What would it accomplish? If it revealed that they were, what would happen? What would be the outcome of that?
I think if it reveals that they actually were complicit, I think I'm just going to throw some numbers over. I think 15 out of 18 of the attackers.
They were Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia?
They were, yeah.
Right. The other 3, Yemen or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the 15 out of 18 attackers were Saudi Arabian. If the government, Donald Trump said that their jet planes were leaving the airspace with the hijackers' wives back to Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabian, the wives of the hijackers were sitting there watching the towers go down. I believe all of that. Okay? And if they were complicit and the people died in this country, over 3,000 people died that day, this is one of the biggest government cover-up scandals. And we have presidents, George Bush sit down with the king or the prince and they had cigars? No. Hell no. So I know you're a preacher, but I had to go there. No. We released the 28 pages. Yes, sir. I'm tired of calling people like Saudi Arabia an ally.
While you're at it, I want to get the JFK thing cleared up finally.
You want that too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Who killed him?
All right, Ralph. Ralph and I have been friends for years, so he knows he can push on me a little bit. We got to wrap it up. But here's what bothers me. This is a comment from Paul Ryan. Because, there's a bill on the floor of the House right now that would allow the families to seek restitution,
reparation, whatever you call it.
restitution from the Saudi kingdom. Okay? And the kingdom says, look, you allow that to happen to us, we'll dump they're threatening us.
Yeah.
But Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, okay, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, has also refused to back legislation saying that lawmakers need to review the bill to make sure that we're not making mistakes with our allies. Hard time putting Saudi Arabia and the word ally in the same sentence.
Well, who knows what would happen from that? It could be a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends on how people react to it, especially the families.
Final thought.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Please.
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 Please, God bless America.
Please. I'm worried about that. We'll have to talk about the spiritual side next time. What's going on?
It's always, there's not enough time, so you're going to come back soon, right?
I'd love to.
Huh?
I always enjoy it.
All right, I got some time next week. George is going to be on vacation. We'll get you in. Tomorrow's a hectic day, but I'll get back.
Okay.
I'm glad to have Ralph with us today. I've enjoyed it so much. Going back and forth here with Ralph. We'll get him in next week. George is on vacation next week again. Tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow is what we call our first in our series of camera, candidates, and issues. That's it. No campaign signs, no audience, just this camera and the candidates. We will have all 5, including Congressman Doug Collins, all 5 candidates will be together with me for 1 hour. We will also be inviting other candidates from other campaigns, races around North Georgia to do the same. That starts tomorrow. We're going to leave. Before we do, I just want to mention something. My uncle, Boss Pritchard, 84 years old, an American story, went to England, brought back a bride, my Aunt Noreen. Okay. Beautiful picture in the Air Force, great American, served his country. He died this past week. And my Uncle Boss, and sometimes you think I'm a little hard on Republicans, because I am. And Republicans really have me on edge right now. But when it comes to our family, we're Republican through and through, always have been. And my Uncle Boss one time, I always felt that there should be no such thing as straight ticket voting. That was my pet peeve. That they should never allow you to go in to a machine and just push Republican or Democrat and straight ticket. And the worst mistake I made one time is I went in and my Uncle Boss and we got to talking about politics, because if you're around us, it takes 30 seconds is the time limit before politics comes up at anything that has to do with a Pritchard. So I was talking to my Uncle Boss one time and I said, Uncle Boss, the thing I think they should do? I think they should take the straight ticket away. When you go in, if you want to vote for 20 Republicans, you should have to pull the lever for all 20. Oh my gosh, he went through the roof. He said there was no reason and never has been any reason and never will be any reason to vote for a Democrat. So there was no reason to take the button away, and that really angered him. Well, he happened to join my Aunt Noreen in heaven this past week, and his son Cliff and my first cousin in heaven, and his mom and dad. So I went up to Detroit, and I went over to the casket, and I said farewell to my Uncle Boss. And I looked at his lapel, and I looked at his hand, and he had his Air Force ring on, a beautiful Air Force ring. And I looked at the lapel on his suit, and I seen the buttons that were on his lapel that he was being buried in. And one I looked at real close, and I said, that can't be. So I get a little closer, and I look down, and my Uncle Boss went to his grave wearing his Republican National Committee pin on his lapel.
That'll get him into heaven for sure.
That'll get him into heaven for sure. So St. Peter's going to say, boss, is that a Republican Party pin? Come on in. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. I had a lot more on Pennsylvania delegates. I got a little inside story on that. Donald Trump is meeting with delegates today up in Pennsylvania. Don't believe everything you read. I'll have some pictures out of that meeting later today. And we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8, 1 hour uninterrupted 9th Congressional District debate with myself and all 5 candidates. Lonnie, take us out of here. Let's hear from our good friend, dear Oscar Poole.